Stacy, welcome back to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going okay. How about you?
I am good. Getting ready for a wedding this weekend. I know it's not mine.
I am getting ready for an arm wrestling competition this weekend.
Oh,
The High
how's that?
Five Knuckles Up event in New Jersey. So, trained hard. I have a super match against a guy named Pavlo Debrdeniev, and he is coming in for left arm best of 5. It's part of the pay-per-view event that's happening this Saturday. And by the time people see this, it will be over. So, wish me luck, but go back and check the results because they will be there already.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I do wish you luck.
Thank you.
Did I just Oh, I thought I lost you there for a second. Sorry about that. Yes, the wedding. I'm in a wedding party. It is my best friend's wedding. So, sometimes it's challenging when you're a realtor to step away for these sort of things. So I'm really hoping I can make it through the day without having to write an offer.
I feel you, and I will be taking my laptop with me on my trip as well.
Yes.
I have lots of things going on today. I've got a new listing going up today, and while I've been away, I've got another one going up. So I'm sure I'll be getting phone calls. It's going to be busy, but before we get into who our guest is today, I want to remind everyone to hit like on this video and hit subscribe on the channel. Please do that. And also check out this wherever you listen to podcasts, because we are not just on YouTube. We are across podcasting platforms via
Everywhere.
audio.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's our guest today?
Our guest today is a friend of mine that I do a lot of business with, Mr. James Boschman. He runs the Boschman team. And we've actually had his one of his team members on our show as well, Denise. So
1 week ago, we had Denise on.
Yes, and James deals a lot with new builds. He's taught me everything I know about new builds, and very patient man, because that is a patient tester. So yes.
That's funny. I won't comment. However, James is actually from my area. He grew up in a little town very close to where I live, so he still he still has lots of connections back here.
Nice. Well, looking forward to it. Let's see what he has to say.
James Boschman, welcome to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Good, guys. How are you? How are you guys doing?
I'm hanging in there.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, I've watched a few of your recent pods, the one with Jesse and one with Addie, and they were great. They were great. So keep this going. I think it's really cool.
No pressure then. Here's to one more great one.
Yeah. The best one.
Yeah. Whoa. All right. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen.
Shots fired. Yeah. Yeah.
Then let's get right into her.
Cool.
How did you end up in real estate?
Oh man. It's an interesting question, and kind of has a bit of a lengthy backstory, but
that's all good.
Basically, I just didn't know what else I wanted to do with my life. So I had kind of floundered a lot when I was out of high school. Grew up in Portage, and like the normal thing to do was graduate high school and then go to university, and kind of followed a few of my friends there. I lived in dorm at the U of M for about a year, and that was the biggest waste of money.
Yeah, so you got nothing done.
Nothing. Yeah, I went to every social, every party, and
Wise guys.
Oh yeah. Oh, what a disaster. So, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I needed to experience life outside of Portage and go to the big city, and hopefully through my U1 courses, like figure out what I wanted to do. And I was kind of thinking maybe social work. I knew that I wanted to do something where I could have an impact in people's lives and, help people, one-on-one. I was really interested in psychology, and then I was also really interested in law for some reason. Um, but I came from a background of, working with my hands. My parents, my dad, my whole dad side of the family, they're car people, and from McGregor, Portage. I lived in the Oakville area for a while. My dad always, he's a big car guy, so working with my hands. So I always knew that if university didn't work out, then like if I really couldn't figure out what I wanted to do there, I could always get into a trade, and that's what kind of ended up happening. Um, I didn't grow up, in an affluent household. I was quite, you know, lower class, I would say. Um, and so I had to kind of make my own way in life and worked my butt off in high school to pay for my university education, pay for my time in dorm, which I, pissed away. Um, and which resulted in me living in a house with a bunch of guys from Portage in Winnipeg, like renting a house with a bunch of dudes. And, you know, so I had to pay rent, I had to pay for school, which I needed to work pretty much full time and go to school and study pretty much full time, which was really difficult and really distracting. So I kind of gave up, and then I ended up going to Winnipeg Technical College. And at the time, I was really, really interested in getting my welding tickets. Actually, I was thinking about um, starting my own welding company, buying a rig, buying a truck. Um, so I took a 6 month course there, and I blitzed through it because I had a lot of welding experience just working with my dad and stuff. And I challenged all my CWB tickets, which are like the you get these cards, they're designations that tells the industry that you are licensed to weld a certain type of material. And then I started applying for jobs, and I worked for some private shops in the city here. And then I got on with a union job, working in the shop and working in the field, doing heavy industrial, heavy structural steel. And I loved it. I loved like working with my hands. I loved, um, being a small cog in a big project, and seeing the finished product and being like, I welded that weld there, or if it wasn't for me, this human rights museum wouldn't be standing here.
Oh, wow.
So so yeah, we did a lot of stuff: structural steel, human rights museum, the rapid transit system, IKEA building, and the sign. Um, and then a lot of potash mine stuff, that big heavy structural steel that would go out to Saskatchewan. And it was pretty cool, just to see those big projects, when they were complete. But being in a union, especially in the construction industry like that, you basically work hard for 3 months and then get laid off for 6 months, because you're essentially just a number in a big machine, right? So it was quite frustrating. um, I would suck up all the overtime, work days, work nights, work in the field minus 40. um, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But then I would show up to work and there'd be a layoff notice, and they'd be like, okay, well, bye bye. We'll call you when we have work again. So then it wasn't, it was great money, but it wasn't very stable. And I'd have to go and knock on the door of another private shop, make half the wage that I did at, the union shop. But then, the union shop would call back 6 months later, okay, we have work again. And then I'd have to say, bye bye, private shop. And every time I did that, it's like burning a bridge, right? Because they train you, they count on you, and then you just leave them again. And they were like, we're not investing any more time or money into this guy, and don't call us back the next time you get laid off. So it was really like, um, although I loved it, it was really unorganized and hard to structure my finances and hard to like plan for my future. And at the time, I was dating my now wife, and we were in a pretty serious long-term relationship. And her dad was a sales guy at Kenworth, so he sold semi trucks for a long time. He's retired now, but at the time, he was like, you should get into sales. And I was kind of thinking about it a little bit. I had sold cars with my dad, so I had some sales experience. Back in the day, he used to go to Autopack and he would buy two cars that were exactly the same, and then one was a parts car, one was the car that he would fix, and we would Frankenstein cars and then safety them and sell them, right? And my dad was not very good with technology, with computers at all, so he didn't even know how to post an ad for a vehicle. So he used to get me to post ads on Facebook and Kijiji when I lived in Portage, and then the phone would ring, and it'd be somebody from Winnipeg, so I'd have to drive that car into the city with a dealer plate, and my dad would say, "Don't come home until the car is sold," And I'd be like, "Well, how am I going to come home?" "Oh, I'll send somebody to pick you up." So oftentimes, my mission was, I'm not coming home until the car is sold. I have to close the deal. So, and I did that time and time again. Sold a lot of vehicles, and so I figured, hey, I'll give sales a shot. And at the time, Royal LePage in Winnipeg, they had this big billboard sign, and it was like career information night. Come and check out what it's like to be a realtor. So my wife encouraged me to check it out. My father-in-law went, got a whole bunch of information, connected me with the broker. I applied for my courses. Back then everything was multiple choice, open book. So it was a little bit easier. That's, 10 plus years ago. But yeah, did it, blitzed through it. I was working for my union job at the time while I was studying. And then when I got my license, I had to go full time because, as you guys know, it was only recently in the last few years, you couldn't be part time, so you had to be full time. So it was really stressful. I was kind of in this place where I was living with roommates, just barely scraping by, and it's kind of like that your back's up against the wall mentality, and you can't fail. You're forced to succeed, because if you fail, there's a lot of people that are counting on you, my now wife, and I didn't want to let my in-laws down, and especially the construction industry. A lot of the guys that I worked with, when I told them I was getting into real estate, they were like, "What the heck are you doing?" And so I had something to prove, the chip on your shoulder. And then started getting into all the coaching and training. Brian Buffini was a huge, build your business by referral. Get out there. Oh, by the way, tagline that he uses.
I got those stickers right here.
Yeah. I'm never too busy for your referrals.
Yeah.
And I just never looked back. Got into it. I've been in it now for, I was counting yesterday, it's 10 years, 7 months. Just crazy. It feels like yesterday that I got my license, but wow. I'm probably I don't have any gray hairs yet, but I feel like I'm probably losing my hair by now. But I'm definitely about 60 to 80 pounds heavier than I was when I started. So stress eating.
Yeah, no, I understand that for sure.
And drinking.
And drinking.
That's a great story, and there's a common theme, I think, amongst realtors and it's more often than not that we find that real estate was not the first choice, but it was the choice that they stuck with, and there was that back against the wall mentality.
Yeah.
I know that's true for Stacy and I.
Yeah. Well, Ryan,
Yeah.
when you started, were you allowed to have another job, or was it still like
Portage
that?
was different. The
Oh,
Portage Real Estate Board existed at the time, and you could be a part-time person.
okay. And I was
Yeah.
allowed to be part-time as well, but I kept it very, very secret. So people didn't like part-time agents. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so um, as we all know, you're on a team.
Yeah.
You want to tell us like how that came to be? We heard Denise's version of it, but love to hear like your thought process and when, what
Sure.
point in your career you were like, I need help. So,
Yeah. So the revelation for me was 2016 was the year that I got married, and I almost didn't get married, to be honest,
oh,
because I was so focused on doing deals in my phone. My wife will tell anybody, like, she essentially planned our whole wedding. Looking back on it now, I feel really bad about it, but I was so strapped, and I was so like I couldn't. I was just a one man show basically. Um, so it was definitely built out of necessity, because I'm the type of person, I have a really really hard time saying no, and so I would just say yes to everybody. And in fact, so there are some realtors out of Ontario, a team. They're called the Brell team. I don't know if they're still in real estate, but I used to watch a lot of their videos when I first started out. I was like a sponge when I got into real estate, and I would watch, search, like scroll on YouTube and go down the rabbit hole and try to figure out what other realtors were doing in different markets. Because when I
yeah,
started like 10 and a half years ago, our market was full of dinosaurs that weren't really, thinking outside the box. Like,
yeah,
no one used a professional photographer. No one used videos. That wasn't a thing, Um,
James, it's still
so
that way.
yeah, yeah. So I was looking to different markets. Some of the bigger boomer bust markets in Canada, on like Toronto, Vancouver, seeing what those realtors are doing, and try to pull ideas into our
yeah.
market. And this
Manitoba's
one,
always last.
yeah. So this one team in particular, in Ontario, in Toronto, their marketing was super slick, and they had this thing on their website at the time that was a client guarantee, and it said, here's what you can expect when you're working with the Brell team, and it was like a list of things. And one of the I basically took it, the I didn't copy it verbatim, but I took it and I was like, I want to make a buyer's and a seller's package, and I want to have a similar client guarantee that I can give to people. And one of those things was, um, real estate doesn't happen from 9 to 5. I promise I'll be available when it's convenient for you, not for me. It's not the greatest for work-life balance, but it's what I think you deserve from a real estate advisor. And I got you know, a lot of traction on that. People they were like, oh, wow. So I was known as the guy that would pick up the phone at 10 at night, 11 at night.
Yeah.
And my wife hated it. And, but I was the guy that was like, I will outwork anybody. Like, I will literally do anything. And so that really kind of bit me. And I think because I didn't set that expectation ahead of time with people, um, a lot of people took advantage of that. And so I became really, really busy. And I was always saying yes. And I was a bumblebee buzzing around all over the place, trying to help everybody. And yeah, I didn't want deals falling off the table. So I started with one person who's still at Royal Page to this day, and he joined me at the time. He was brand new in real estate. Him and I didn't we worked together for a little while. We had like a little kind of like a partnership duo team kind of thing, and he got a lot of value because he could kind of learn from me and work with me, um, while he was brand new in the industry. And then, but I think he just kind of just kind of outgrew each other. There was some little bit of behind the scenes stuff that had gone on, and then I was kind of left alone again, and I was like, oh man, I still need help. And Denise and I had done a couple deals together, Denise Young, and I had known her, you know, from being at the same brokerage for a long time, and I was like, really impressed by her and how she handles clients. She goes way above and beyond for people,
She's
and
amazing.
it's so admirable. She gives back to the community. She gives back to charities. She really goes out of her way. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding with her. Like, she's been selling houses for 14 years, 16 years. I don't even know, a lot longer than me. But she's getting repeat referrals from, oh, I sold their grandparents' house and now I'm selling the grandkids' house. And the last time I saw them, they were like a newborn, and now I'm selling them houses, and it's like, holy crap. And it was just super, that's who I really wanted to align myself with and work with. And she was at a point where she was kind of thinking, I want to join a team. And our values really aligned. So we started working together. Didn't really call it a team right away. And then after a while, I was like, let's call ourselves, the Boschman team, and keep this train going. And then she was really busy. She got really busy. Like, she has her own book of business that she nurtures and looks after. And there was a point where, I don't want to say she's too busy for my spin-off leads or clients or whatever, but there was a point where we needed to add another person. And so that other person was Francesca Duick, who is our licensed admin. And she came in, solely to do administrative work, but she still has her real estate license, and, she still sells, some houses every year. She has her own repeat and referral database as well. And she has a lot of experience as well. So it's just been kind of like effortless, but definitely built out of necessity.
Nice.
What's the saying? Building the plane as you fly it. That's definitely that's like our team in a nutshell. We're definitely building it as we fly it. And I'm just thankful that the people on the team are willing to kind of, come along for the ride. So,
well,
yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Let's go down this path a little bit then.
Okay.
Real Broker. How did you end up at Real Broker?
Oh, so jumped around a lot. There came a point when I was at Royal LePage where I loved, a lot of the people there and culture and everything. There was a point where I kind of outgrew it a little bit. I realized that I was the one who was sticking my neck out there. I was the one building and nurturing these relationships. I worked with a lot of builders, developers, investors. So those guys don't really care if you're with ABC brokerage or 123 brokerage. So I kind of realized that early on, and I was looking at my balance sheet, and this is before, the personal real estate corporation. So looking at my profit and loss, so to speak, and I'm like, the amount of money that I'm paying to this company that they're taking from me, to give me essentially like an ego boosting paperweight, trophy, that I can't take that.
To pay for.
Yeah, I got to pay for. I can't take that down to the bank and deposit it. I started realizing this fairly early on, but I was really scared to go on my own. I had seriously considered, even back then, opening up my own brokerage. I had kind of gone down that path pretty deep, actually. And I was almost going to partner with someone, one of my friends who was going to get into the industry and is not in the industry. He decided against it, but going to start like our own little mom and pop brokerage, and pocket pocket more commission, pocket more money, instead of paying somebody else's lease and everything. But I was scared. Like, it's a lot to take off the selling hat when you're in the trenches every day, showing, selling houses, you're in the market, and then putting on that CEO hat or manager hat. I wasn't ready. Like, I was, number one, very immature, and unprepared. So I just knew that I couldn't stay there anymore. And so we left there, went to another small brokerage. And the reason for going to a smaller brokerage was I wanted to see how the sausage was made, so to speak, how those brokers ran that brokerage of 30 agents, 25 agents kind of thing. Peel behind the curtain and see if that was something that I could see myself doing, either buying into a small franchise or opening up my own shop. And I loved it, honestly. Like, it was great. Obviously the fees were like really, really low. The culture was really great. The problem that we had at the time was, this was just as shit was hitting the fan, pardon my French, with COVID. And no one knew what was going to happen. Everybody's panicking, right? Oh my God, the sky's falling. There's this new virus. It could kill everybody. Make sure you put your gloves on when you go to the grocery store, spray your bread down. Like, it was crazy, pandemonium.
Buy all the toilet paper.
Yeah, we were doing open houses, and we literally had people coming in, yelling at us, telling us that we were greedy and we shouldn't be doing open houses and we're going to kill people. It's like, okay, enough. But that was the time we were in when we were at the small brokerage, and everybody thought the sky was going to fall. But what happened was the opposite. Interest rates plummeted, and the market was crazy. There was no inventory. Phones were ringing off the hook, and we needed more help. And it's hard to recruit or bring on new blood to a brokerage that is low fee, low service, especially when they're brand new. And so we knew that we kind of outgrew that brokerage at the time, and we needed bodies, for the lack of a better term. We needed help. And I was at a point where I was starting to kind of look into the more modern day brokerages. And one of those brokerages was KW. And KW was kind of, I saw it as like, from a 30,000 foot view looking down on the business model, I saw it as a really good blend of tech, like really forward thinking tech for the industry, training, coaching, and then that culture, that, kind of like family style real estate brokerage. And went there, liked it for a while, but then just, there was some factors at play, and EXP had hit the scene, and I had looked at EXP and I was poking so many holes in it. And every time I would poke a hole, I would find something more awesome. And I was like, hey, like, thought about starting my own brokerage. This is kind of like owning your own brokerage within a brokerage without having all of the liability, the overhead, all that kind of stuff. And it's super tech forward, and seemingly has a great culture. And it's about this abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. And so we were like, what the heck, we looked at it for a long time, and like, let's fricking do it. Let's get our own office. Let's let's just jump in. And luckily my team followed me, as they had from the beginning, follow me through the fire. And yeah, we were at EXP for I think about a year.
Yeah.
And I had heard rumblings of Real Broker, again, big YouTube guy, always trying to educate myself on different things, different markets, the industry, looking to other markets, the US, and see what they're doing. And there was obviously a lot of videos from people, EXP versus Real Broker. What is Real Broker? At the time, I don't even think it was in Canada yet. And I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. It's cool to see that the industry is evolving, and you have these big tech companies that are willing to like invest, millions and millions and millions of dollars into this industry to evolve it and to make it better. And, especially during COVID, more people working from home and less people in the office. And, and so when Real came to Canada, I was like, ooh, I wonder if it's going to come here, And it seems like it was like a more evolved version of the EXP model, but just done differently. More, growth, natural growth, rather than going into a market and land grabbing everybody.
Yeah.
Part of the recruitment aspect of EXP, which, I'm not really into, so to speak. I like the idea of FOMO. If your company is offering phenomenal value in terms of its tech, its support, training, coaching, it'll stand out on its own as a lighthouse, and people will be attracted to that. You shouldn't have to go out and land grab and recruit. You know what I mean? And so I looked at Real as like this ecosystem that was everything that I was kind of hoping that EXP would be. And then when I heard that it was potentially coming here, I was like, ooh, I got to find out who the players are, right? And just have a conversation and see what it's all about. And got in touch with Addison, and found out that they were the guys, they were the foxes in the hen house at Remax that were talking to, the powers that be at Real to bring it over here. And I'm like, okay, keep me posted because I'm really interested. And yeah, here we are. We left EXP. Honestly, loved EXP.
Yeah.
The people there, the broker there, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
just amazing. But I think that what Real has to offer is it's a better bicycle. What I mean by that is it seemed like EXP was trying to reinvent the bicycle, where they had too many different things going on and nothing talked to each other, So you had an app for this, you had an app for that, you had an app for that, nothing mobile friendly, nothing in one place.
Yeah.
And for me, being like, more independent, when you're with a cloud-based brokerage, you're more independent. You don't have like an office to go into, knocking on the door to the broker. And if you're in a pinch, it's kind of like you're running your own ship, and you need it to be really dialed in. You need all the systems to like talk to each other and be seamless, and essentially be an agent on autopilot,
Yeah.
And I just felt that wasn't the case with EXP. It was too compartmentalized. And with Real, they really simplified everything.
Yeah.
So they having the app and everything, that really like, it's like, wow. I remember when I was at KW, they were all about coaching and training, which was really great. But if you wanted to know where you were at with your numbers, if you wanted to track your gross commission, if you wanted to track how far away you were from capping, you had to send an email out to conveyancing or accounting, And then they'd send you like this 10-page report. And then you're like, okay, I just want to know, just tell me. I don't need to read, a 10-page PDF. I love how Real has your numbers. First thing that you see when you open that app is a real-time tracking of what's going on in your business. And any real estate coach is going to tell you, if you want to go from here to here, you need to know your numbers.
Yeah.
You need to know where you're at if you're going to know where you're going. So I just love that about Real. And I love how the people at the helm of that company, they really care. Like they're really tapped into the community. They're really tapped into the agents. You can jump on Workplace. You can have a one-on-one conversation with the top dogs. I know that you could do that with Glenn Sanford and stuff at EXP as well, but it just feels different. It's a little bit more organic, and it's hard to put into words. It's like a je ne sais quoi. It's hard to like explain what it is. But yeah, I just love it. I love it.
One thing that one of the leaders of Real had said, I watched on a YouTube, was that they're not concerned with quantity of agents, they're concerned with quality of agents. And that really stood out to me. You go back to the whole, recruiting and just bringing in as many bodies as you can. And then, people being attracted to the company on their own. Like they'll get here.
Yeah.
They'll get here on their own.
Build it and they will come, right?
Yeah.
And it's like this company just keeps evolving. They keep the one thing that I love about them is if there are kinks, which there have been. I mean, any new brokerage starting, whether it's a mom and pop or a franchise or a cloud-based brokerage, when it's entering a new market, there's going to be a lot of kinks to work out. And whether that's through the tech, whether that's through the systems, the support, the brokers, whatever it is. But this is a company that is owned by agents, and we have the power to kind of decide how we want to, build this boat and build this company. And I love how the leadership listens. And when there is a problem, they fix it right away. There's no like, okay, yeah, there's a new app coming next year, hopefully, until then, suck it up, sunshine. You got to deal with our crappy tech. It's like, no, like they really listen. And you can tell the leadership, if somebody has a problem, they will actually comment on Workplace. Like the other day, there was somebody on Workplace who was complaining about something and they wish they had something. And the leadership was like, oh, actually, we are working on this and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what? It's just so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know. We're enjoying it as well.
mm-hmm.
And it's definitely interesting to watch it grow and be a part of it. So
again, it's like, it's like we're all on this jumbo jet and we're all building the jet as it's flying. But the quality of people on the jumbo jet it's like there's no way it's going to fail because you have some great people. I feel like there's so many people that were looking at the EXP model and they were like, ooh, that's really cool, like we're really attracted to that, but they just didn't jump ship for whatever reason. It was they kind of waited on the sidelines, and then they waited for too long, and then they were like, nah, we're just not about this or not about that. But now that Real is here, it's like a better mousetrap, and people are like, ooh, it's organic. It's, there's no pressure to recruit agents. They're building this company really slowly. The tech is amazing. The support's amazing. It's leveling up the industry. It's a disruptive company. And I feel like that really attracts some top tier, high level people.
People are definitely
especially
watching.
In our market. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think the growth has been amazing thus far. It hasn't even been a year. I think where it's going to go is, I think it's going to be exponential by this time next year. And I'm so excited to see it being on the ground floor of something like this, especially in our market, it's just really cool.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of been a disruptor, and like I like to, shake the tree and rock the boat, so to speak. And I like, for so long our industry in this province has been so stagnant and just like dusty and
Boring.
yeah, and it's been a gatekeeper mentality for so long, and an old boys club, so to speak. And I'm just so excited to see the tree, the leaves shaking now, and you're seeing all the shit fall out, and people, like other brokers are kind of like, oh boy, okay, what's happening, and watching other companies to see what they do, and it can only go up from here, right?
Yeah.
Like other brokerages, the legacy brokerages, they have no choice but to adapt. And I think overall it's going to do nothing but great things for our industry.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's going to be interesting. Ryan, you ready for the fun ones?
Absolutely. James, these are going to take a little bit of a different turn because they have nothing to do with real estate.
All right, let's go.
Favorite movie of all time?
Oh, Hangover.
Ooh.
Hangover 1.
That's a good one.
I remember seeing that for the first time in the theater, and I died. Absolutely died. So, yeah.
What is your favorite thing?
Todd Phillips.
Oh, yeah.
Todd Phillips, my favorite director, by the way.
Yeah, he's good.
Joker is a close second for me.
What's your favorite thing to do when you're not doing real estate?
I would say going on hikes with my wife and our dog. I love being outside. I love like being in the bush. We live kind of in a like semi-rural area, and we're fortunate to have a lot of trees. But if it was up to me, I would be in the bush, in a NOLA, in a like a tree house.
Yeah.
Like that would be me, off grid.
Tiny house.
Nice.
Yeah.
What book has had the most influence on you?
Oh, that's a great question. So I would say, so I'm not a huge reader, but I am an avid audiobook person. So I would say Millionaire Real Estate Agent, like for business, was like very, very influential for me. Gary Keller, that's like a super common one. It's so cliche for realtors. But audiobook, The Power of Now.
I have read that book
by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
And focusing on being in the moment. We only have so much time on this planet, and it talks about anxiety. Anxiety is living in the future and depression is living in the past, and trying to find ways how to live in right now. And it was very like just the way that he talks about it. It's like a spiritual enlightenment book, but he's very descriptive. He's Eckhart Tolle is a phenomenal author, and it was a New York Times bestseller.
I've read that one and one of his other books, and I read them prior to ever leaving my corrections career for real estate.
Or did it have kind of an impact?
I believe it did. Yeah.
Just trying to focus more on living in the present moment and enjoying life right now instead of constantly worrying about the future. And
Well, I feel like you just answered our last question. What is
and you'll recognize this question,
Yeah.
by the way, because
Yeah.
we may have borrowed it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we might have borrowed this one. What is the single best piece of advice you have ever been given?
Yeah, live in the moment. Don't don't focus so much on what the future will bring. Just focus on what you're doing right now. And the first step that, whether you're a brand new realtor or even not real estate related, like, just the first step is just starting. And um, you know don't think about, I feel like a lot of realtors, especially in this industry, the new realtors, with social media having such an impact on people's lives now, they only see the highlight reels, right? When you're a brand new agent getting into the business, they see, realtors dressing nice, driving nice cars, selling nice houses, and they get into it and they're like, that's what we want.
Yeah.
And that's the wrong attitude to have. And I feel like, I don't know how you unlearn that from the new agents getting into the industry, but that's not what it's about. It's about focusing on helping people, focusing and living right now, and just, you help one person get what they want, and then you help another person get what they want. Focus on being a find a need, fill a need um, person. And if you don't think about the outcome, if you don't think about how much commission you're going to make, how much money you're going to make, what kind of car you're going to drive, all of that stuff will come. You know, uh, it's the actions that you take now is what's going to, you know, generate that for you in the future. But you should not focus on that. You shouldn't
Yeah.
focus on the outcome. You know, just be a good person, work hard, be kind to people, and bust your ass, put your head down, don't make excuses.
Yep. Well, that's awesome.
All the
James,
cliche things.
that is absolutely perfect, and we appreciate you. And I feel like we should have a part 2,
Yes.
because
Maybe.
there's a lot of stuff that we can dig into about
New build.
strategies for lead gen and all that kind of stuff that I think
Yeah,
you would
absolutely.
have great insight on. So maybe
Yep.
we'll line that up sometime in the near future. But
Yes, I'd like to do that too.
yeah,
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I got to get my furry dog to the groomer. He's sitting
Okay.
here under my desk, probably avoiding he does not like going to the dog groomer. So.
Yeah. He's focusing too much on the outcome.
Yes. He's like, that lady is mean to me. She makes me take a bath.
Yeah.
James,
right.
Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate
Thanks, guys.
you, and all the best. We'll see you very soon.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
part 2.
talk to you
Stay
guys.
tuned. Thanks.
Yeah. Take care. Have a good day.